Hello and welcome. Today, we're going to talk about something pretty fascinating. It's a very simple test that has a surprisingly powerful message about your health and just how well you're set up for the long haul. And it all boils down to one single, fundamental human movement.
Now, I know what you're thinking. That sounds a little bit like science fiction, doesn't it? Can one simple movement really predict something as profound as how long you'll live? Well, what if I told you that a specific, everyday action could offer a genuine glimpse into your long-term health? Let's dive in and find out what this is all about.
So what is this big secret? How does this work? Let's unpack the science behind this simple but incredibly revealing action.
That's right, believe it or not, we are talking about sitting down on the floor and then getting back up again. Now, this isn't just a test of strength or a party trick. It's actually a pretty profound indicator of our body's overall functional fitness, a beautiful combination of your balance, your strength, and your flexibility all working together in harmony.
Okay, so let's get to it. Let's look at the actual tool that measures this ability. It's called the Sitting Rising Test, or SRT for short.
The SRT is a really straightforward test that was actually developed way back in the 1990s. Its whole purpose is to assess what doctors call musculoskeletal fitness. You can just think of it like a performance check for a car, but instead, it's for how well your muscles, your bones, and your joints are all working together to do a basic but vital task. And the test itself is just beautifully simple. It's made of only two parts. First, going from a standing position down to sitting on the floor, and then Part 2 is just the reverse, getting from the floor back up to a standing position. That's really it. The magic, though, is in how you do these two movements.
So you might be wondering, okay, how can something so simple really tell us so much? Well, a landmark study gives us some really eye-opening answers. So back in 2012, a study was published in the European Journal of Preventive Cardiology. Researchers got together over 2,000 adults, all between the ages of 51 and 80. They had them do this sitting rising test, and then they just watched. They tracked their health for over 6 years. And the results were, well, they were staggering. As you can see right here in this chart, the folks who had the lowest scores, the ones who needed the most help to get up and down, they had a 5 to 6 times higher risk of death from any cause compared to the people who got the highest scores. I mean, that is a huge, huge difference. But you know what? Here's the really empowering part. For every single point a person improved their score on this test, their risk of mortality went down by 21%. That's incredible. It just goes to show you that even small improvements in our functional fitness can have a truly massive impact. So naturally, that brings us to the next big question. How do you actually score this thing? Let's break it down. It's a really simple system that actually starts you off with a perfect score and then works its way down. Okay, so you start with a perfect 10, you get 5 points for the sitting part and 5 points for the rising part. From there, you just subtract. You lose 1 full point every single time you use a support, like putting a hand down on the floor or using a knee for leverage. You also lose a half a point if you wobble or lose your balance, even if it's just for a moment. Whatever's left over, well, that's your final score. Simple as that.
Now, the most important rule of all is to be safe and honest with yourself. The goal here is not to strain yourself or try to be perfect if you really do need a little help. The instruction is simply to use the minimum amount of support that you feel is necessary for you to do the movement safely.
So why? Why is this one little test so powerful? Well, it's because it's measuring something much more profound than just how strong your muscles are.
You know, as the folks over at GMB Fitness put it, life is continuous movement, not one thing at a time. And that's so true. We don't just, do 10 squats and then rest. Real life is this fluid, constant flow of movement.
The SRT is really a test of what you might call transitional movements. Those critical in-between moments where we shift from one position to another. Just think about getting out of a low chair, or bending down to pick something up in the garden, or even just catching yourself when you stumble. It's all about bending, turning, and reaching all at once. That's the kind of dynamic control we need every single day of our lives. And improving these kinds of movements brings just immense benefits. You build agility, which is just your ability to change direction quickly and safely. You improve your coordination, so your body moves more efficiently, more smoothly. And this is a big one, it helps prevent injuries, which so often happen during those awkward, in-between motions. But maybe the most important thing is that you build what I like to call movement confidence, that quiet trust that your body can get down on the floor to play with your grandkids and get right back up again with ease.
And this, right here, is the most important thing to take away from all of this. Your score on any given day is not a final judgment. It is not your destiny. It is simply information. Think of it like a snapshot of where you are right now. And more importantly, it's a starting point. It's a guide that can show you where you have the opportunity to improve.
So I'll just leave you with this question to think about. Our bodies are always communicating with us through the way we move. The sitting rising test is really just one way to listen in. So what is your movement telling you today, and where do you want to guide it tomorrow? Thanks for joining me.